I'm going to try and significantly improve my golf swing in just 6 weeks. I've been playing golf for just over 3 years, and in that time I've seen a good improvement in my ability through just regular practice and self-tuition. Full disclosure, I have had a couple of lessons in that time too. However, in order to take the next step, I think I'm going to need some help, and that's where HackMotion comes in. This device sits on my wrist and measures everything my wrist does throughout my swing. It is specifically interested in what my wrist is doing at address, top of the swing, and impact. To get super technical, it measures the wrist flexion and extension, radial and ulnar deviation, and wrist rotation. As golfers, we need to utilise all these aspects of wrist movement in order to have an efficient golf swing.
Nice.
How good am I at doing this? Well, let's find out. After you've set up the app and put the device on, the first thing the HackMotion app wants me to do is create a profile and run a diagnostic session to find out exactly what I'm doing in my golf swing when it comes to my wrist movement. So here goes nothing. So I'll put a screen recording on screen so you can see exactly what I'm looking at as well, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start practice and go to guided practice, and it wants me to hit at least 10 shots to gather some data. So you can see my name's in there. Calibration is dead easy, I just need to hold this straight so it's got an idea of where my arms are, and then you can see once it's done that, it can see exactly what my wrist is doing, which is pretty cool. Right, so it wants me to hit 10 shots. Let me set this up so I can see it. And let's grab a club. I'll hit an 8-iron to start. Good one to start off with, straight down the middle. If you don't like hitting without a glove, what you can do is you pop it off the clip, and then what they do is they give you a little clip to use on your glove. So that's it, you can fix it to your glove so that you don't have to use a little wrist band thing. And then once you're sorted, you can just continue hitting your balls really. So let's get these 10 shots done. That one was thin. And I can see on screen it's telling me certain things about my swing here. I'm seeing red lights, which means not good. 147, that's about right. That's about what I would be expecting to see this fly on the course. So 10 shots in, and it says we've got a diagnosis. Flipping, which is not a surprise. I did think that that would happen. It gives us some information on what we need to know about flipping. So I got to the necessary amount of flexion in my swing, but I flip before impact, so I lose it all. Essentially, I'm trying to almost scoop the ball. I need to hold on to that flexion in the wrists. Effects on your swing, depending on the severity of the flip. Common misses on this pattern are pulls or pull hooks, with the occasional miss right due to the timing aspect of the flip. 100%. This is definitely what I'm seeing on the course at the moment. Some of the irons that I'm hitting are just going straight left on me and basically ending up more left, with the occasional one that just starts out right and never comes back. So that is definitely what I'm seeing. Now I have my diagnosis, the app will lead me through a program of tailored drills in order to help me make physical changes to my swing. What I liked about this is that I can get real-time feedback when doing these drills so that I know I'm ingraining the correct movements. It walks you through each drill step by step to make sure you are hitting each position correctly. If you miss the position, it won't let you proceed. As you can see, this isn't a quick process, but slow and focused practice is ultimately what leads to long-term changes.
I'm in the range. Hit a ball. I tell you what, I might have pulled that a bit, but that felt quite nice. There we go. I missed it. Man, this is tough. This is tough. In range, hit a ball.
Okay, I'm getting 3 green circles now. You can see this is very, very particular practice.
So my plan is to spend the next 6 weeks practicing these drills to make the changes the app thinks I will benefit from. This will likely mean me completing this initial program, rerunning the diagnosis, and then working through a new set of drills to improve another position. At the end of the 6 weeks, I'll come back to the simulator room and see if we can see any meaningful changes in my swing. I did a video recording my yardages for all my clubs, so we can use that as a point of comparison. Time to get started.
Right, so week 1 of practicing with HackMotion, I've gone through my little exercises in order to try and get the impact feel correct. And now I'm just going through some shots and trying to get that feeling right. Weirdly, for a guy that flips, I've got to feel like I don't do anything with my wrists. So it's very disconcerting. But I have been managing to get some streaks, as you'll be able to see on screen. So let's give this a go. So 1 degree too extended, but you can see the strike was great. It does feel like I'm trying a bit more than normal, but I assume when something's new and you're consciously thinking about it, you're trying to make it habit, you are going to think about it more. But essentially I'm trying to feel like my wrist gets in a good position there, to the top, and then don't flip with my wrists, which is what seems to be my issue. I felt a bad one. Yeah, 2 degrees this time. You can see that top streak though, it's 23, so I'm doing well there. It's just this bottom position. I'm edging closer to it. 1 degree still. Determined to get 1 correct one for the camera. Hooray, in range. But they're producing a lovely shape. I can see that if I can make this a habit, it should be really good. But early stages at the moment, I'll keep plugging away.
After a couple of weeks and seeing some progress with my iron swing, I decided to turn my attention to the driver. This, I was surprised to learn, hadn't really improved at all. The metrics I was seeing on the HackMotion app were as bad as they'd ever been. I realised at this point that I seem to almost have a different swing with the driver compared to the short irons. My body becomes very rigid and my swing is more of a torso rotational hit than an actual swing. My arms become very wooden and that seems to translate to my wrists as well, meaning that whilst I have found a way to make this playable, it's definitely not efficient. After the initial 10 data gathering swings, the HackMotion app is telling me the same thing as before. Whilst I'm getting into a good position at the top of the swing, I'm still flipping the wrists at impact. Flipping the wrists is a deliberate move, so I can see why this would cause tension in the swing. Plenty of practice still ahead of me.
So one of the massive benefits of using the HackMotion is that I can actually practice indoors. I've got an impact mat here that I'll link in the description below because I think this thing is brilliant to obviously stop me knackering the floor. But I can practice indoors without any golf balls whatsoever and still get the feedback using the tool. A nifty little thing that they send is that you can unclip the glove clip and you can clip on a band so that you don't even need to use the golf glove when you're practicing, which is a massive help. That just clips on there and then the band itself sits on your wrist like normal, and then the band for the actual motion sensor that sits on the back of the hand there, that's just held in place by the rubber band. And then you tighten the HackMotion sensor itself, you calibrate that with the app like usual, and you're good to go. So I'll get set up and I'll show you how this works. So I'm all set up now indoors. You can see this is a very rudimentary setup. I've got the impact mat, an old Big Bertha golf club, and the HackMotion wrist sensor, and that is all I need. I've connected it up to the app, and what I'll do again is I will go through the 10 qualifying swings to see if I'm still flipping as much as I was before. So if I go to start practicing, guided practice, take the 10 shots, continue. I'm on the right-handed, I need to calibrate the sensor again. You do this each time just to make sure that the wrist is flat. So I've got a flat wrist there, and then I bend it. And now that's doing a good job, you can see on screen, of matching where my wrist is. So I can pop this down here. I don't really need to worry too much about this. Now you might be wondering, Luke, you're not about to hit any golf balls, how is it going to know? Well, I think it uses the audio from the impact of hitting the mat. Basically, you don't need the golf balls to do this. So if I just give this a normal swing, let's see what happens. Nailed it first time. And actually, I don't know if you'd see the mat from up there, but that's a pretty decent strike area as well. The thing I like about using the impact mat rather than just a generic mat indoors is, whilst using this, I don't want to start causing other problems or not be aware of other problems that I'm getting. You know, I want to make sure that my strike's still good, and the mat allows me to do that. But green and green to start, I'm happy with that. Let's see if we can keep it up. Streak of 2, and again, absolutely middled. You can see now that my misses, even though they're happening still, they're very minor, which is brilliant really. It's what I'm trying to work towards. Diagnosis is in. And I'm now flipping 10% of the time, which obviously means I just got one of those strikes wrong, and it was quite a flipping action. So as you can imagine, being able to use this device indoors is a huge plus, because living in the UK, you can't always get outside, particularly with the tragic weather that we have over here. So using this indoors is a massive benefit. And obviously not even needing to use golf balls, just the noise from the mat, even better. Because really all we're looking to do is change our position of our wrist, change how our wrist behaves through the ball, or at least I am anyway, hence the flipping issue. And I can still practice that and improve that without hitting a single golf ball. So it's even more convenient really. But you can see I'm working my way towards that goal of eradicating that flip, so that when we get back in the simulator, we can see how much of an actual improvement that's had on my ball striking. And also what I will do is I'll share the rounds that I've played over this period as I've been making this improvement, so that you can actually see how that has translated into my real world golf. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for that because it's very, very interesting.
Unfortunately, I was unable to get back in the simulator I used at the start of this 6 weeks, so I had to settle for a local TrackMan range. This will still give us the carry and dispersion data, however. Here you can see I started again with the 8-iron and did the 10-shot assessment before doing the same with the gap wedge and the driver. It will also be immediately obvious that I haven't got to a point where I'm seeing consistent green feedback markers for my top and impact positions. However, if you look at the data, you'll see that my top position is now too flexed on a lot of these shots. So I've actually got to a point where I'm overdoing the feeling I've been working on. This is fairly common when working on a specific part of your game, and I've had the same thing happen to me before. As the new feeling becomes more and more natural, the feeling of getting into the position feels less alien to you. So you end up having to exaggerate it further in order to replicate that same feeling, but in reality you just end up overdoing it. Having an awareness of each extreme though will help massively, as your feel for what you're actually doing in your swing develops. All I need to do now is start working to find that sweet spot in between the extended and flex positions. So, how has this all affected my carry and dispersion data? You can see from the 3 sets of data, one for each club, that my dispersion on all 3 is actually pretty good. TrackMan gives a consistency number relative to the amount of yards on average you miss your target by in any direction. The smaller the number the better obviously, and even the driver number is pretty good considering the distance the ball is travelling. The average carry numbers have largely stayed the same, but could easily creep up if my strike consistency continues to improve. Just looking at the 8-iron data, a carry number comfortably in the high 150s seems achievable with a more consistent strike.
And so guys, that wraps up my 6 weeks using HackMotion. This actually took me 7 weeks. I was ill for a week, so I missed a week, so I've added a week on. And my overall impressions of it are it's fantastic. So good, in fact, that I did actually reach out to the guys at HackMotion and ask if I could work with them on a longer term basis. So I've sort of joined the affiliate side, so there'll be a link and a code. I've managed to get a 5% discount for any people who watch the channel who want to give this a try. There's a 5% discount code down in the description. So whilst the results were not obviously earth-shattering, I've only used it for 6 weeks in total, and probably on average 2 to 3 times per week. So we're looking at, you know, around 15, 18 times in total. I think what this has done, it hasn't elevated the ceiling of my game so much, but it's more elevated the floor, which has been very interesting. It wasn't really what I was expecting, which is maybe naive because they market it as improving the consistency of your game. And I would actually say it's done that. You'll see from the data that I've just done in the driving range there with the TrackMan data that I think the dispersion and the consistencies of the carry numbers, they're definitely getting better. I don't think they've increased much over that time, but the consistency of that ball flight, the dispersion and the carry distances, for sure, even just from the eye test, is definitely a little bit more consistent than it used to be. And I mentioned previously that I was going to go through my rounds so far whilst I've been playing over these 6 weeks, and over that time I've managed to play 16 times, which I know is maybe a little excessive, but hence I haven't been able to practice too much around that, hence the 2 to 3 times a week. But in those 16 rounds, I've shot over 90 once, with over 89 once with a 91. I've shot under 80 twice with a new PB of 75, which was 3 over, and the rest were all in the 80s. And in fact, those 16 rounds have given me an average of 12.4 over. Now, considering my handicap is 9.4, and handicaps are calculated by taking your last 20 rounds and taking an average of the best 8, this 16 round period, I'm not excluding any rounds there, that's all of them, the average comes in at 12.4, so that speaks to the consistency of the golf over that time. Even just anecdotally, the people that I played with, I remember saying that I don't feel like I played amazingly well in those rounds, and I'd come off with an 82 and 83, which, if that's sort of where I'm middling now, that definitely didn't used to be the case. And I think because you're not seeing the shininess of the low scores or 3 birdies around or whatever, it's easy to disregard. But noticing, you've got to sort of take a step back and notice that actually my floor has come up significantly, at least over this period whilst I've been using the HackMotion tool. Now, you may have noticed from the numbers and things in the range that there's some work to be done on the carry distances, particularly the driver. I've had a couple of people tell me that maybe I need to get that driver looked at. Considering the other carry numbers on the rest of my clubs, the driver doesn't seem that good. So maybe I'll look at getting the shaft replaced on it, or just buying a new one altogether in the future, we'll see. On HackMotion then, if you do want to give this a go, they offer 3 packages on the website. They've got the Core, the Pro and the Plus. I might have got them the wrong way around. The Core starts at €295, which I think is about £250. Then at €495, which is the middle package, and their All Singing All Dancing Tour package is €995. To be completely honest, if you are interested in getting HackMotion, and it doesn't matter what level you're at, start with the Core. Go for the cheapest one, use the discount code, you'll get it for about £235. You get the sensor, and then obviously all the software that comes with it, with the app and everything, and honestly it's all you need, particularly to start. The middle package will help you with the putting as well, and then the big package gives you all the tour data, but honestly the Core package is plenty good enough. So if you are interested in checking this out, definitely start with the Core package, and they give you a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you're not impressed, you can just send it back. But if you're as impressed as I have been with it, I'm sure you'll be very, very happy. So that's it, guys. That's how good I could get in 6 weeks using the HackMotion. Like I said, I've been pretty impressed. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you next time.